He thought he could keep hopping my fence forever like my backyard was a shortcut. The neighborhood owed him like a badge, and a bored smile made my property optional. If you've ever had somebody treat your home like a hallway, you know the drop in your stomach, the way your hands hover. Because if they don't, they might turn into fists. My name is Caleb Morgan. I bought a little stucco place in Red Mesa for quiet mornings, and a patch of grass where my sister's boys could run. And then I met the HOA's night patrol. A guy named Cole Brenner, who moved like the rules were suggestions. The first time he came over, I was seasoning chicken radio low heat rolling off the grill. Then a boot landed in my lawn, and the man didn't even flinch. He adjusted his belt and said, "Just keeping the area safe," and walked out the other side like my yard was a hallway he rented by the hour. You try to give people grace. At first you tell yourself, maybe this is how they do things here. Maybe patrols have special privileges. Maybe the problem is me. That's how disrespect sneaks in. Quiet and neat. It kept happening a Wednesday evening, a Saturday morning once while Eli and Sam were throwing a football. They almost hit him mid-hop, and when I asked around, Rita at the mailbox lowered her voice and said, "He cuts through yards all the time." Hey, Tommy down the block nodded. "Same deal by our hibiscus," we complained. Got a copy-paste about discretion. Discretion. Funny word when you're the one being stepped over. I did. The polite circuit. Wrote. The email sat through the hold music. Showed up to the meeting with the lukewarm coffee and the carpet cleaner smell, and the HOA president Marjorie Tate smiled like a dentist and said, "We empower officers to keep everyone safe. We can't micromanage their routes." And I said, respectfully, "My yard is not a route." And she gave me that look people give when they're already done listening. In the hallway, Cole drifted past like a cloud with boots murmured. "So you're going to send another email?" Mr. Morgan and I said, "Try the sidewalk next time." And he said, "I go where I need to go." And something in me tightened like a knot pulled hard. You don't know where the line is until somebody drags a boot across it while your family's watching. And for me, that was a sunburned Saturday. The air wobbling over the pavement, the boys laughing in that big way that makes you forget everything else, and then a thud on the fence. Cole's head, Cole's shoulders, Cole's drop into the grass, and my chair snapping back as I stood. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice already shaking, and he dusted his hands and said, "Routine patrol. Nothing to worry about." And I pointed at the boys who were frozen mid-throw and said, "You don't climb into a backyard with kids in it. You don't climb in at all, without permission." And he glanced at them, then at me and said, "They'll be fine, and maybe you should worry more about your lawn." That little flick of his mouth, that nothing smile. "Yeah, that happened. He hopped out like we were done," Eli whispered. "Uncle Cale, can we go inside?" And I said yes, without taking my eyes off the fence. That night, my sister Naya looked at the boys curled small on the couch, and then at me. She let me talk the emails, the meeting, the smirk. And when I was done, she said, "He's counting on you to stay polite. That's how this kind of man keeps going. If the board won't draw the line, you will." I sat there in the blue light of a cooking show. Nobody was watching, and realized she was right. I could keep asking permission to be respected on my own property, or I could act like I already deserved it. Here's the part folks will argue about. I did homework, not cowboy justice. I talked to a hardware guy who'd seen every fence mistake in 3 counties I read state code. I checked the fine print twice. Then I bought a livestock-grade deterrent, low voltage, designed to sting and discourage, not injure. I mounted it along the top of the gate, not the whole fence clean visible. Legal with warning signs you couldn't miss. the gentlest way I knew to say, "This line is real." That night I sat on the porch with iced tea sweating down the glass, the gate glinting in the bulb light. My heart refusing to slow down, part of me hating that it had come to this. Another part finally feeling like I wasn't playing defense anymore. For a couple days, nothing. I watered the shrubs, waved at Rita, pretended the air wasn't charged, then the patrol truck rolled up slow and deliberate. Cole stepped out like he owned Tuesdays, and I stayed seated. I didn't warn him. I didn't jump up. He reached for his favorite handhold glove on wood, and then a quick crackle, a yelp. He couldn't swallow. A full body flinch, like the fence had told him a secret, and he stumbled. Eyes hot and wide, and I stood up, calm on purpose. Private property, clearly marked. And across the street, blinds twitched. A door opened. A neighborhood exhaled as he stomped to his truck, slammed the door, and peeled out like gravel owed him money. Relief came first. Not triumph. Then the letter with the HOA logo, big and blue, unauthorized electrical equipment remove immediately, or face fines. And I read it 3 times the way you do when a threat is wearing a suit. I went back to the folding chairs this time. The room buzzed different, not paint colors, not parking, but my gate. On Willowhawk Lane and I stood. When they opened the floor, I said, "I followed the law. It's posted safe legal, and I did it. Because your officer kept trespassing. I emailed, I called, nothing changed. And Marjorie said, we can't expose the HOA to liability if someone gets hurt. We're responsible. And I said the only reason anyone got stung is because a patrolman jumped a fence. If you had stopped him months ago, I never would have installed anything." Cole stood bandage on his hand like a prop and said he assaulted me. I was doing my job, and I said your job isn't my backyard. And voices started popping. He climbed mine too last week. Behind our pool, a gavel banged order, but the order had already shifted. After that, it got quiet. In a loud way, the truck idled near my house. A flashlight traced the gate at midnight. I bought cameras. Little blinking eyes that didn't get bored. And the footage caught him circling slow hand, hovering inches from the strip. Standing there, long enough to make the gravel uncomfortable. And the best clip didn't even come from me. Tommy knocked with a flash drive, his garage. Cam had a wider angle, my fence in the corner, and we scrubbed through weeks. There was Cole in daylight, dropping down like he'd done it 100 times. There he was at 2 a.m., sweeping my grass with a flashlight, like it belonged to him, and there he was, leaning against my fence post, smoking exhale, curling into my yard like a taunt. And Tommy said, "You need to show them this," and I said, "I will." The evidence night felt like a movie that forgot to give him a good line. I plugged in the laptop and played the clips in order. In order, no music, no narration, just the truth. Walking on 2 legs, and the room went heavy quiet. A couple gasps, a long, low wow. When the cigarette blinked in grainy black and white, and Cole said, "This is out of context," like context was a magic eraser. And from the back, Tommy called gently, "What's the context for smoking in a homeowner's yard?" Cole, and then the gavel again. And Marjorie said, "Patrol duties suspended, pending review." Her voice doing that firm thing people use when their hands are shaking. A few days later, she showed up on my porch blazer, fighting the heat, and said, "We relieved Mr. Brenner of his duties fines, rescinded new patrol guidelines. Coming hotline for residents, we mishandled this, and I didn't rush to be gracious." I said, "I didn't want a war. I wanted to drink coffee on my porch without a man landing in my grass. You know what I mean," and she nodded. and said, "I'm sorry. It took so long." The changes came in pieces after that. New officers waved from the sidewalk instead of cutting across it a notice board with bigger language about private property, a phone number that answered, and the boys went back to running routes. Eli high stepping Sam, laying out for catches, the kind of laughter that rinses bad weeks out of a house. People ask if I still have the deterrent up. I do legal and posted more symbol than tool now. A thin line of metal that says what my voice already says. And yeah, some folks think I went too far. A guy by the pool told me you didn't have to shock him. Like I'd wired up a cartoon anvil, and I told him the truth. I did every polite thing. First, I used my words. They bounced off a uniform. Others think I didn't go far enough. Someone messaged me a video about barbed wire, and I didn't click it, because none of those opinions change what happened the day I stopped waiting for permission to be safe in my own space. Do I feel bad that he was humiliated? I don't enjoy humiliating anybody, but I don't apologize for consequences either. The sound he made when the strip bit his glove wasn't pain, so much as shock. That the world could tell him no and make it stick for a long time. That world was just me with a folder of emails. Then it was me with a gate and a camera then. It was a room full of neighbors who stopped pretending this was fine. That's the twist people miss. It wasn't the sting that changed anything. It was the mirror. So here's where I land, and you can fight me in the comments because that's the point. Some rules don't matter until they're enforced. Some respect isn't given until it's demanded to perimeter more than wood and hinges. They're the border of your dignity, and you can ask nice for a long time, or you can make the line visible. For me, it was a legal strip and a blinking red light for you. It might be a different tool, but it starts with the quiet sentence that changes everything. I live here. This is mine. I'm done being stepped over. If you made it this far, tell me what you think. Did I cross a line to defend a line? Have you seen a uniform used like a hall pass? Have you watched a board protect its pride instead of its people? Drop your story, your disagreement, your what would you have done? And if you want more real life from the places we actually live, not the brochure, hit subscribe, and tell me if humiliation is ever a fair teacher, or if there was a kinder way to make a man who wouldn't listen finally hear the word no.